Welcome to the second session, the second warm-up session that we've got prepared for you today. Thank you all for attending. I understand that many of you are not registered to this particular challenge, but we will discuss other things that are very important for your onboarding. So I'll start with that now, and then I will leave the word to my colleague Zahed. Again, welcome you all to Strasbourg. You are already onboarded, and most of you already finally helped me enough to close with your logistics. So thank you for bearing with me. As you can understand, there's a lot of you. So I hope that you can forgive all of the delays and problems that we might have. But we're getting there, and you will be in Strasbourg. That is an important thing. And at the end of the day, we will have fun together. So that said, I hope you have an excellent World Cup as well. Hope you're having some of your countries in it, and you enjoy it later as well. But here we have our own World Cup. We have a lot of people coming from a lot of different countries. So you represented some of these 46 member states. So that is very good. But now what's going to happen is that you're going to start working tomorrow. You thought that you were going to start working next week, but no, you actually have to start working tomorrow, and you have to deliver your first deliverable. Before the hackathon. It's pretty simple. It's not a problem, but you have to start working on it, and it will be released tomorrow. So please remember, tomorrow is a very important day that you have to come here, because we're going to release the starter kit. We will be releasing the first deliverable, and then you will finally start working and being able to contact your mentors. So that is very important that you can come. I know that maybe you have some issues or whatever, but one of the team members must attend. Okay. That being said, I'm going to introduce how is it going to be the working environment where you are going to be discussing with your mentor. This is going to happen through a platform called Creaton. And there you will have access to different things that we will review right now. But first, I'm going to showcase how it's going to work and for whom it's going to work. So the Democracy Hackathon will introduce you to this platform that we have created for you. Now, the team leaders that all of you have will get an invitation to create your team. So I'm asking all of the team leaders right now to pay a lot of attention. Then your team members will at the moment not do the first part, but it's important that you understand the second bit. The team leader is going to go and receive this invitation for the Creaton, for the specific page from the Democracy Hackathon platform. Once you register, you can go to the website and then click on register now. Then you will have to create your password, pretty standard, and then you will have to follow all of the guidelines and complete all of the bio. Another person joining. Once you complete the bio, you you continue with your team strategy and how to join it. You will see here, this is outdated because this platform has been made months ago, but you will have to create or join a team. In this case, the team leader will have to create the team. Once the team is created, you will add there all of the information about your team. You can create your visual identity, so you can change it now, but you can be changing it at any time. It's important that the most important thing is that by the time that last deliverable is completed, this page will remain final. So you're gonna have basically some sort of social media profile. You have your background, you have the logo of your team, the name of your team, any taglines, anything you like to add. And all of the deliverables will be uploaded right there. Once you create, how you do that, you have to click and create your team, and then you will have to send your team an email, or you can send them as well a secret invitation link. sorry, not percentage string. Once you have this unique team code, then the team you will start creating it, and then you will have access to a chat. I'll show you in a second how does that look. But in that chat, you will have different channels. The general one, feel free to chat there if you like, to send a cool message. I'm gonna say already, there's a code of conduct involved in this hackathon, so we'll pay attention to everything that is written there. Now, there is another one that is very important. There is the announcements. The announcements, we will be texting there. You cannot write anything, so just have an eye on it every now and then. Pay a visit and see if there's anything involved over there. But the most important bit, ask a mentor channel. Now, we have a bunch of mentors that are going to be supporting you, but there are 4 challenge owners mentors, like Zahed right over here. They are the owners of each specific challenge, and they will be assigned to only their chat of their teams. So there's 5 teams per each of these tracks. So when then you contact the Ask a Mentor, he can definitely support you a little bit, but it's very likely that all the other mentors that are there, from UI UX, from lawyers, all of them will be there and will be able to ask questions. Then they can create with you a private channel, and you can even create a video call with them. Now, first you have to register now. You will receive the invitation later. Then you have to create your team. Then you start hacking, and then you create your final submission. Not that difficult. And that is how we work with Triathlon. Let me just very quickly and briefly show you how this page works. We're here, now it's of course updated. And here, as I am the admin, I don't see it, but over here, you will have the button to create your team. Now, there's a menu over here, where about the 4 tracks, the different channels, and then all of the people you can see here, the judges have not been added, but there's mentors, and then soon you will be populating these with all of the teams that are registered now and onboarded. But for now, it's still a work in progress. Now, in the about part, you will read all of the information that is pertinent, because of course you have the landing page, no need, no noise. But the important bit for me is on the right side, this interaction panel. You will have, as I am an admin, I see a different one, but you have the event chat and your team channel where you will be working. Now, on the right side, you have your timeline with a countdown, not to stress you. And then, of course, each and every bit that is important for this hackathon. You have a big timeline. When the time reaches this part, the next part finishes, and so you close to the next phase. And as you can see here, the deliverable number 1 is due on the 16th of June, so at 3 p.m. So you have to start working on that. We're taking questions at the end of the event, so please start writing them down if you like. Hopefully this time the chat, not like yesterday, this time it works. And if if there's an important question, we might open the microphone for you. That said, I'm going to leave the mic with my colleague Zahed. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. It's a real honor to be here today and to be asked to be a mentor for this challenge on coordinated inauthentic behavior. I'm going to just take about 15 to 20 minutes to speak about some of our work as it relates to this track. I, of course, am representing our institute, the Institute for Strategic Dialogue, which many of you may be familiar with. Many of you may know about our work in this space. We have over 150 staff across the world, many of whom are specializing in addressing this very challenge and looking at coordinated inauthentic behavior. So I'm going to go over 2 recent case studies which highlight some of the challenges that we faced, in fact, that relate to some of the problems that you are going to be asked to resolve. And I hope to be able to channel the expertise of my colleagues to you as a mentor for this track, and I'm really excited. Obviously I've seen all of your submissions, and I'm just really, really impressed with the quality and the thoughtfulness and the diligence and all of that with regards to your submissions. And I think you really are at the cutting edge of this. You're doing a lot of the work that we have tried to do and are doing in parallel with you, as we speak. So we are looking at this with really great interest, and I'm hoping, even as an organization, that at the end of this process, we could work with some of you in the future. So this is a partnership in a way, and we're all in this together. We all know how quickly the landscape is changing, and why this is so important. So I'm gonna just, hopefully you can all see my screen, and I will. There we go. So I'm just going to quickly go over, obviously I'm kind of speaking to the converted here about what is coordinated inauthentic behavior, why it's particularly difficult. And I'll go over 2 case studies really briefly and what those uncovered for us in terms of challenges. One was a case study around the German elections in 2025, and one was looking at semantic clustering for sock puppet detection on Wikipedia. That's a study we did in 2024. We'll go over some of the lessons that you may find useful for your build, the pipeline, the threshold, the rights. And then finally, I'll be able to answer some questions. And if I don't have the answers today, I'll have the answers before I see you in Strasbourg. So really, again, really, really excited about this. And hopefully you'll find this interesting. So we'll start with, obviously, what is coordinated inauthentic behaviors, just so we're all on the same page. The way we define it, and we have a definition for a lot of the things that we do, from hate speech and so forth. We look at it as a set of online entities, accounts, groups, or pages that operate together toward a shared goal, and the important point, of course, is which conceals the coordinated nature of their activity. So that's the definition that we use. By coordinated, we mean multiple accounts acting together in contrast to independent users to happen to agree, i.e. the organic responses that people have to online content. The inauthentic part, of course, is the deliberate concealing of who is behind the activity: fake accounts, amplification networks, impersonation, and so forth. And then behavior is also, of course, the key element in this, which is defined by what accounts do. So the timing, the sharing, the posting patterns, less about what they say, more about what they do and how they do it. Because of course, all of these are engineered to manipulate public discourse, and that the structures of this in terms of how these accounts are operating is really, really key to this. So I think we're all on the same page of this. The hard problem, of course, the one that your tools are going to have to solve, is distinguishing this a genuine mass reaction from an orchestrated one, even though both can look identical in forms in terms of content. So the core detection problem we're looking at here, which are 2 things that look identical until you examine the behavior. One, of course, as I mentioned, is the organic mass reaction. Many independent users who are genuinely angry. We've seen this. I mean, if you can give some examples, we just had some, violence in Ireland, the last couple of days. And, we're already tracking this at ISD and looking at the combination of what are the independent sort of responses to this and what are the coordinated behavior to this. I don't have any answers at the moment because we're still tracking it, but these are something I can probably share with you guys on the ground in Strasbourg. We're looking at things like the posts, how they vary in timing, real people who don't act in sync, the semantic fingerprints spread wide, how authentic reactions diverge, account ages varying, looking at a normal network topology. So these are all things that are kind of organic and normal. And actually there are elements of, a democratic infrastructure that we need to make sure that we have robust debate and we have functioning democratic institutions. So this is sort of democracy. We want to protect it. Where it's coordinated inauthentic behavior, we're looking at accounts that are acting together, concealing their coordination, temporal bursts. These are things that we track that give sort of the game away. looking at dozens of near identical posts in seconds. A lot of you, of course, have seen, how content can be replicated, in several different accounts, and that's one of the big clues. The semantic clusters, the same narrative, but in different words. This is an advancement that we've seen in recent years with the use of AI, how to tweak the language so that it avoids detection, looking at account creation clustering, abnormal amplification patterns. So this is manipulation. This is what we need to detect. This is what we need to do to ensure that we're not seeing coordinated efforts to disrupt our societies. And that's ultimately what it comes down to. All of these efforts are meant to disrupt democracy, to disrupt our societies, to cause chaos, and in some cases violence. So the two case studies I mentioned before, I'll go over the first one, which was called Operation Overload and the 2025 German election. There's a report on this on our website if you want to see more detail about it. We wanted to see what coordinated inauthentic behavior looks like in the wild, and some of the strategies that we use to detect it. So this was a effort to look into the German federal elections, where we uncovered a coordinated Russia-linked disinformation campaign called Operation Overload, which operated alongside AI-driven domestic far-right efforts. And the operation primarily utilized fake news media personas and massive bot networks to spread disinformation without engaging actual voters. To do this, we of course had to work with civil society and academic partners to monitor, track, and counter these foreign information manipulation and interference, or FIMI, which is a term you might know, these threats in real time. So the groups that we worked with published incident alerts to keep key election stakeholders informed and protected. So that was kind of the aim, to do this in as close to real time as possible. That, of course, is the challenge for you, to optimize this process. The more that we can track this in real time, the more that we can convey the information to fellow stakeholders that can help protect our society. So this is what we found in this study: 48 coordinated exit accounts spreading disinformation. Then a secondary layer of bot accounts, over 6,000, which were amplifying that content. So you needed both the generation of the information, the amplification of the information. We tracked 2.5 million total views despite no organic engagement. So this is, definitely something. This is where we see huge difference between the organic reach and inorganic, the amount of views that can be garnered in that period. 20 organizations impersonated. So these core accounts were backed by, again, the bot network of over 6,000. These were designed to tag fact checkers and overwhelm observers. And the language strategy, despite targeting the German election, the vast majority of the network's disinformation videos were not in German, so which indicated the campaign was aimed at misleading the international community rather than influencing German citizens. Although there was a domestic component to this, where far-right actors, particularly those associated with the Alternative Deutschland Party, the AfD, independently used generative AI to produce false or hyper-negative imagery to exploit the societal divides over immigration, the economy, the war in Ukraine, and so forth. So again, the tactics, again, as I mentioned, AI-generated audio and visuals. Media impersonation is always a key one because it leverages the trust of those organizations. Fake law enforcement and academic branding, QR codes linking to disinformation sites, and again, tagging the journalists to overwhelm fact checkers. So this is all in two phases between 2024 and early 2025. And we found a case where 19 of 33 videos were posted in just 4 days. So that coordination is really, really key. So how we detected it. Now, this 4-step method is essentially what your tools are going to need to automate, because we did this by hand and it took days. Your challenge is really to compress this into a pipeline that surfaced the pattern in near real time. That's really the key to this. You have your signal detection, so monitoring as for unusual patterns around German election keywords, volume spikes with no organic event trigger. That raised the first flag for us. Then network mapping. This is the secondary layer, the 6,000 accounts sharing the same content within minutes. The repost synchrony far exceeded what organic behavior produces. And this repost synchrony signal is a pure behavioral coordination signal. It's completely independent of content. That's really key insight, this pure behavioral coordination. The content analysis, of course, videos looking at the video branding, matching to legitimate institutions, law enforcement, etc., and confirming the manipulation of real video material. And then finally, the attribution and context. So looking at the tactics and how they matched those of a documented Russia-aligned influence operation that we have been tracking. We've tracked a lot of these over the past several years, but this one was one that targeted 10 countries plus, and we found, because the tactics matched, it helped us in assessing this this case of coordinated inauthentic behavior. So the signals that made the case, so what separated the coordination from coincidence? Again, the temporal synchrony, the 6,000 accounts reposted within minutes, the zero organic engagement, that 2.5 million views, but almost all from the bot implication. So in other words, real people weren't sharing it. These were all bot shared content. And then the content without the language match. So the campaigns targeted the German election, but no post in German. So again, misleading international observers, not necessarily informing German voters. So it's a complement to the domestic, discussion by far-right actors. And then finally, the rapid narrative pivot. So, anti-Semitism, we did to election targeting in a signal coordinated shift. We found that, and organic communities just simply don't pivot like this. So the fact that we've seen this rapid narrative pivot shows a coordinated effort to sort of leverage, that discourse accordingly. So what this teaches us, and hopefully this is something that you can learn here. So structural patterns to detect the two-layer architecture, originator network versus amplification network. They both need detection. One tells you what's being pushed, the other tells you what the artificial reach is. The organic anger, of course, all of these are leveraging, real sentiments by real people. It's just the, amplifying it and targeting it. But organic anger, of course, is present too. Genuine German users also angry about immigration and economic conditions. Similar cases in the US and UK. Your tool has to distinguish amplified astroturfing from amplified organic sentiment. So both involve large volumes. We have, Elon Musk is a super amplifier, but he's a real person, and he's genuinely, participating in the activity. We want to find the inorganic, complement to that. Content-free signals, of course, those matter the most. Lack of German language posts, the posting synchrony, the zero organic engagement. None of these required reading any content. Behavior told the story. So this is all really important. This matters for how you frame your tool's outputs. Detecting coordination is necessary, but not sufficient for proving democratic harm. So your evidence packages need to be really honest about this. So second study, I know I'm kind of short on time. I'm going to really rush through this, but the second study was looking at semantic clustering for sock puppet detection on Wikipedia in 2024, looking at natural language processing technique at the heart of CIB detection, and we tested this in the wild. This is a paper that we did with a partner of ours called Chasm Technology in the UK. And so this is kind of research that informs the semantic clustering approach that most of your tools are going to probably use. And so just wanted to give you an idea of how we applied this technique. So the challenge was detecting covert editing on Wikipedia. So this is all rooted around the war in Ukraine. We looked at 48 linked Ukraine articles, almost 2,000 editors, almost 14,000 revisions. Can semantic clustering identify which accounts are coordinating covertly? And why Wikipedia? Of course, Wikipedia is the world's most read reference source. The platform has its own sock puppet investigations, human check users, etc. But it's slow, it's manual, can't scale. So we wanted to answer that question: can semantic clustering of edited content identify suspicious groups automatically and at scale? So the data set: 855 blocked editors, 1,100 unblocked editors, and 176 clusters that we identified. So this is sort of, directly analogous to social media coordinated inauthentic behavior. Looking for accounts whose meaning footprints cluster together in ways that pure coincidence can't explain. So the semantic clustering method. So this is sort of the technical heart of both of the case studies. Semantic clustering using transformer-based embeddings is the current state-of-the-art for detecting coordinated narrative behavior without relying on keywords. And this is what we want to avoid, relying on keywords. Your tools are all planning to use some of this, some version of this. So the value of understanding how we've done it hopefully can help you with this. So how this works, collecting edits per account, embedding with the transformer model. So each edit is encoded as a vector using pre-trained sentence transformer. So capturing the meaning, not just keywords. Looking at the average per account. So each editor gets a single semantic centroid, i.e. the average meaning of all their edits. And then finally clustering by proximity, looking at accounts close together in semantic space and looking at similar editing patterns and matching them to the same cluster, if you will. So the result, we found 176 clusters. Most reflected legitimate topic opportunities. So people editing the same page for the same reasons, but several clusters revealed dense sock puppet groups. So you all know what sock puppets are, multiple accounts controlled by a single user making near identical edits to the same contested passages. So what worked and what didn't? So what our semantic clustering found, 10 editors, 5 sock puppets in one cluster, editing whether the war in Ukraine is Central or Eastern Europe. So another cluster, we looked at 8 editors, all 4 blocked accounts linked to a single user, editing, over casualty figures. Another cluster, with 10 editors, but 8 of them blocked. Coordinated manipulation over the name Ukraine versus the Ukraine. So the semantic differences between Russia and Ukraine in terms of narrative building. And then finally a cluster, with 4 sock puppets updating army size statistics in the country comparison table. Where it fell short, and we're very honest about where things fall short, but this is part of the learning process that you're going to go through as well. These semantic clusters most reflected topic communities, not coordination. So legitimate editors working on the same page looks very similar to covert sock puppets editing it. So that's something that's very difficult to track. The method could not distinguish legitimate from malicious behavior on its own. We needed that manual review. So vandalism on one page also looks different from vandalism on another. The clusters were primarily about what's being discussed, not whether the discussion was covert. So a key lesson for us was that then semantic clustering is a screening tool. It's not a verdict. So human review remains essential, and automation narrows the haystack. It doesn't find the needle. So which is why we need in a lot of your projects a dashboard with human review to make sure that we're not solely relying on technology. So from our research to your pipeline, so the principles that I wanted to share with you guys in the development of your tools. I would say the first principle, this is our advice, build 2 components, not 1. The first component on narrative clustering. So from, again, what the case study showed, group post by semantic meaning using embeddings, catch paraphrase variants, identify which narrative is spreading. And our research showing that semantic clustering reveals what is being contested, but that doesn't alone prove that coordination is inauthentic. So that's key, first component. Second component, coordination detection. What the case studies have shown, behavioral signals score whether coordinated activity is inauthentic, synchrony, co-sharing, account creation clustering, amplification without organic engagement. What we found, of course, is that synchrony and zero organic engagement were decisive signals, completely independent of content. So avoid the mistakes of treating behavioral signals as dashboard display metadata rather than pipeline inputs. So if your coordination score comes from content analysis only, you build 1 component, not 2. So that's kind of one thing we suggest you keep in mind. And then the second principle, this threshold is really a rights decision. So it's not really a technical choice, it's a human rights choice. And this is, if you set it too low, you'll get loads of false positives. Where you're flagging legitimate mass protest flagged it as coordinated inauthentic behavior. So you can falsely label journalists, activists, and actors, civil society actors as inauthentic, which could chill democratic speech. And we don't want to do that. If you set it too high, you'll get false negatives. So genuine coordinated behavior will slip through the net because it doesn't meet the threshold. And in our case study, the 40 account core network would look more like a normal posting if the threshold for suspicious synchrony was set too conservatively. And the harm, of course, is that manipulation succeeds, democratic processes are distorted, and the tool loses credibility. So all of that we wanted you to keep in mind. The third principle, Again, human rights are the specification. It's not a compliance layer to add at the end. Those constraints will shape and should shape the architecture from the start. So the right to privacy, we're looking at European frameworks for this. So never storing raw text linked to real identifiers, hash or discard author data ingestion, structurally incapable of identifying individual, not just, this is all things you have to make sure that's embedded in your tool. Freedom of expression, so never auto-label content as coordinated based on content alone. You've got to match that with behavioral signals, gating every verdict, protect organic mass anger, again, organic versus inorganic, that is the key differentiation. Data minimization, so only collect and retain what is necessary for coordination. Pseudonymization is not anonymization, but where you can enforce structural non-re-identification, please do that. And then finally, AI transparency. Every coordination score must be explainable. You need to show which signals contributed and by how much. No black box verdicts. Don't say the AI and any analyst should be able to read and contest any output. We've mentioned a gender dimension for this challenge, and coordinated harassment of women politicians and activists is one of the most documented forms of coordinated inauthentic behavior in Europe. 60% of all women MPs report online hate speech disinformation. In our study in the US, 78% of gendered abuse logged across 6 platforms targeted Kamala Harris in 2020. And then finally, our Operation Overlay investigation identified a female politician as a primary target of the German election disinformation network. So your dashboard really does need to include gendered campaign detection as a first-class filter, not as an optional add-on. Delivery, the blueprint, so naming your components, which model handles the clustering, which handles the coordination detector as separate design decisions, define your minimal viable demo, which is a single scenario your tool will demonstrate. State your threshold and why. At what score do you surface suspicious? What's that threshold? Identify the gendered test case. And then finally, map your rights constraints, just so you have an understanding of the privacy protection, which of it is structural versus policy, where does human review gate automated output. And yeah, the most common failure mode, I think, that is teams know what they want to build, but they haven't answered the questions about scope and threshold, would mean that you're spending day 2 making decisions that you should have made on day 1. So those are kind of key things to keep in mind. So we've got resources, for you from our own case studies. I've mentioned 2, but we've got many more on our website. I will be able to share more of those with you, depending on your questions and your challenges that you're working on. There's other references from the EU. There's a couple there. I will have a few more to share with you. Don't forget the technical and legal frameworks you're going to operate around. These are all documented. EU Disinfo Lab, Council of Europe Convention. DSA is really key, and hopefully you're all very knowledgeable about the DSA and how it would impact what you do. And that's it. Sorry, hopefully that filled my time and that didn't go over too much, but if you have any questions, I'll try my best to out. If not, I will answer for you quickly. Hopefully you all have contact information between now and the time we meet in Strasbourg. And of course, I will be available after the hackathon to mentor the winners for several months. So this is a long process, and I hope to help you as much as I can along the way.
Thanks a lot for this presentation. Actually, it was very, very interesting, especially for the participants that are registered for this challenge. And it's time for you to get to connect with them. Soon they will have access to you via that platform. That is the important thing for everybody to know. We already discussed that. So I am going to appeal to all of the team leaders now to know that I'm going to be sending them the registration form to the platform where the mentors are already registered. And just to create already your team, because that is your repository where you are going to be creating your deliverables and when you're going to be submitting them. And remember, there's a timeline as well. If you upload something and you cross the threshold of that timeline, then that's it will be your final deliverable. Any issues, of course, talk to us, and we will be there to support you. Now, I am only sure since yesterday this platform gave us problems. I don't know if right now there's a possibility of you guys to write questions. So, and if anybody has questions, please, is the right moment. Otherwise, if there's problems again with the chat, we could. Okay, we've got a question. Let me see, because if not, I will have to give you the word. I will have to give you the microphone. So, Gali, can you write on the chat? Is it possible? Because if not, it says here that you used to be allowed, but I don't think so. All right, Gali, I'm going to give you participate. Let's see if you can, we can hear you. Gali?
Yes. My question is, are you going to be providing us with a data set to work on, or?
We looked into providing data sets for you. I'm still discussing that with my team. There's challenges for us to do that, to be honest, for a number of reasons, because of the type of data we worked with, the partners that we worked with, privacy issues, etc. I'm trying to see if we can, but I don't have an answer for you at the moment. I will try to. I will communicate this on the platform. By the way, I'll also try to put this presentation and other resources up on the platform if I'm able to do that for your reference. But at the moment, I don't have a data set yet. But again, I'm trying to see if we can provide one.
Yeah, because evaluation is going to be much harder if everybody is not going to be working on the same data set, right?
Yeah, I think the intent was that. Yeah, yeah. No, of course, that's completely understood. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't have an answer at the moment. I'll try to see what I can do.
Can I ask another question,
Yep.
if possible? So, are we free to use any tool, IDE or AI tools that we can have access to?
Are you talking about tools that you already have access to that you want to use, or?
I mean, is there any restriction in terms of using any IDEs or any AI tools, or are we free to use anything?
For the time being, if I remember correctly, you have to be working with open source material, but there will be other mentors that are focused onto this specific part. The mentors are either IT background, AI, I know a good colleague, Thomas Lampert, and then as well as UI, UX, and lawyers. So there will be support there. So one of the important things that I want to transmit to you is that you're going to create. I don't know if Gary, you are the team leader of your team.
No, but Dr. Betul is the team leader.
Okay, so I think he will be in charge of creating your team, and then immediately after that, you have access to all of the mentors.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Sure. All right, Alexandra, I'm gonna let you in. So please go ahead and ask your question. There you go. Can you unmute yourself? I think you have to unmute yourself, Alexandra. I don't know if, unfortunately, I cannot unmute you, so you have to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, great. Thank you for these wonderful meetings and wonderful chat in meetings when nobody can ask something. So I have a question to you, Hugo. At the first minutes, you was mentioned about the creation visit cards on online platform. Could you be so please share this link? Because now I'm here in this platform and I want to create this visit card. And where is it?
Sure. So, like I said, I'm going to be sending all of you after this call, just the team leader. that access to that specific platform. So for now, don't worry too much. You will receive the information with a step-by-step guide on how to do that.
Okay, and we need to do this till Monday, as I understand.
So tomorrow we will release the starter kit, and there you will have access to the first deliverable. And that deliverable particularly needs to be you need to send it by the 16th of June. So that's Tuesday, if I'm correct. So be aware that all of you have to travel to Strasbourg, apart from the people from Strasbourg. So yeah, be mindful of that and try to review all of the information. Once you create your team, I know that Zahed will be there and all the other mentors to support you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? We'll be happy to open the mic for you. Meanwhile, you decide to ask questions. Let me just remind you that tomorrow is another warm-up session, again at 4 p.m. with the introduction to the third challenge. It's very important that even though you do not participate to that challenge, for you to be aware who these mentors are. Of course, you already met Zahed, and he has the knowledge that he already described. So now you could already know what can be asked to him. Tomorrow we will discuss the starter kit. We will discuss the deliverable one, as well as we will give you the methodology that we created for this project. And Zahed's helped us quite a bit with that. There's a lot of bits and bobs that go through it, but of course the criteria is fundamental, because your idea is nothing if you have the pillars and of the criteria. Anyway, any other question? If not, of course, you can contact us via email and directly through the platform, like I said. If not, I'm going to close this call, and I thank you all for attending, and have a wonderful rest of your day. And if you watch football, enjoy the World Cup.